besties, welcome in. My name is Sabrina, for those of you who don't know me yet. Let's do my November wrap up, okay? And we've been doing it kind of like interview style with my husband, my production assistant, asking me questions recently, the last couple of months, and that's not going away. But this time, I saw someone named Book Nerd K-Tree here on YouTube do this thing in her monthly wrap up where she only had 1 minute to talk about each book. And I thought that looked like so much fun. And you know your girl likes to yap, so this would help keep this video short and sweet, which I think we're all needing because it's a crazy time. I just want, like when I'm scrolling recently, I just want like a short video, like no more than like 20 minutes. So that I can watch something quick before I go on to my next task. I've been using YouTube videos as kind of like in between task situations. So is it looking a little blurry on the, like I'm seeing like a blur on right here. Let me see if I can fix the camera screen really quick. Hold on. Did that fix it? I can't tell. I think it fixed it. Okay, anyway, this might all be in my imagination, but that's what I felt like was happening. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna borrow her idea. I'm gonna do what she did and give myself 1 minute to yap about each book that I read in November. Good luck to myself, because that's gonna be really, really hard. Okay. So the first book that I read was Local Heavens. It feels like I read this a decade ago. It doesn't, how is that November? I just realized that I didn't have the timer ready, so hold please. It's got 1 minute on the timer. Can I put it there? Okay, I'm gonna keep it right there. That kind of works. All right, so the first book was Local Heavens, and this is a Great Gatsby retelling. It is a cyberpunk Great Gatsby retelling, and it was my first foray into cyberpunk anything. I really, really liked it, and despite not really remembering Great Gatsby that much, I had a good time with this book. Reading this book, it felt like when you were a little kid watching the Jetsons, like the futuristic vibe of it was just so right. I did feel like the author was able to capture the frenzy that is Gatsby very, very well. I ended up rating this a 4.25. This was an arc that I read. I did read it a little bit late, but I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to read this book because it was beautiful. So, you know, if you are in the mood for a cyberpunk something or other, you should definitely pick this one up. And I'm gonna put this outside of the 1 minute time frame. So for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, Herkyed, we are chugging along on that. I used it to fit the adaptations prompt because it's a Gatsby retelling. I have yet to read the source material, which I do plan on reading. I have that. Oh, I moved it to my December TBR shelf. So I do have the source material. I'm gonna read that. And then I also used it in BIPOC because the author, K.M. Fajardo, is Filipino. And so this earned me 11 points. Speaking of arcs that I read, let's move on to book number 2, which was I, Medusa. Which, if you can't tell, is a retelling or a reimagining of Medusa. In this book, Miss Ayana Gray has made Medusa a black girl, and I love it. So the book, I will say, it got a little weird. And it's hard to put into words exactly why it was weird for me. I think ultimately what was off is that it was supposed to be an adult novel, but it was very much giving YA vibes. Like, it just felt very young adultish, and it wasn't supposed to be, so I think I was not prepared for that. Despite having YA vibes, it also was like very graphic with the SA that happened in the book, which is a part of Medusa's story. It just, you know, okay. I don't feel like having graphic scenes in your books makes it adult. You have to actually write for adult. But I ended up rating this 3.5 stars, and sorry, the timer went off and I'm still yapping. But for Herkyed, I use this in the readathon prompt, which you will see quite frequently because I am doing a 2-month-long readathon, and so a lot of books that I'm reading are counting as the readathon for one of their prompts. And then I also use it in the Challenge Yourself for November, which is I challenge myself each month to read an arc and review it on Instagram with a decent review on Instagram. So that is up there. You can see that. And so it earned me 19 points. Book 3 is right down here. Terror at the Gates. Let's start our timer. This wasn't really my jam. It had mafia vibes, which is not my thing. But I will say that it was decently written. So I pulled this because it was the BIPOC author prompt that I pulled from the Herkyed TBR jar. And our author, Scarlett St. Clair, is Indigenous. So I also counted this for the Heritage Month prompt for that. So I don't know, the FMC felt like she was 20 years old, and I can't exactly remember how old she was supposed to be, but I feel like she was supposed to be a little bit older than that. That's on me, not on the author, but one thing that is on the author, this book felt like it was written and then somebody was like, it doesn't have any spice in it. So she went back and like inserted spice scenes just to make it like meet this like general like requirement. There were like 2 chapters of just all day. There was nothing else happening for 2 straight chapters, and I was like, I literally don't want to read about this anymore. They were also really long chapters. Anyway, this also was a readathon book, and Heritage Month, like I think I mentioned, I used it as an Indigenous author for Heritage Month in November. This earned me 14 points in Herkyed. Then I read The People We Hate at the Wedding. I read this one for the readathon because one of the prompts was a book that you've had forever. And let me tell you, I've had her forever. Straight off the bat, 2.5 stars. I don't even know why this book was written. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't actually good. Every single character in this book sucks. They have no personal development. There's 0 growth throughout this book. And I don't even really know what the point was. There was a wedding at some point, and everybody was miserable. Like everybody, the bride, everybody was miserable. And I think she was like the female main character. Absolutely not. Yeah, I didn't vibe with it, and I don't even need the rest of my time on the clock. 18 seconds. I don't even need that kind of time on the clock. Let me just tell you, I used this for the last 10 years for Herkyed. It was published in 2017. I've had it since it was published, and I never picked it up, and that's probably for good reason. And then I also, obviously it was for the readathon, and then I earned 9 Herkyed points. I don't know if I mentioned, but Terror at the Gates was 3.5 stars. Moving right along, and then I read Carmilla, the First Vampire. It's a graphic novel. So I obviously read this because it is an adaptation of Carmilla, which I read last month, and I have never read a graphic novel before. So this is my first graphic novel. I'm gonna unfortunately say I don't think graphic novels are for me. I found the pictures distracting, which is like, hello, that's like the pinnacle of a graphic novel. But maybe it's just this graphic novel, so I will give graphic novels in general another chance. So I don't know. It's a Carmilla retelling. It's Carmilla. Like Carmilla is like Carmilla. It's a vampire. And so job well done with the story itself. It had a lot of like Chinese culture and mythos in it, and I really, really enjoyed that. But just I find the pictures distract me from reading the words, so I think that's a me problem. That noise is probably getting really annoying, but I actually like having to limit myself to 1 minute. So I rated this 4 stars, and it counted in readathon and then also adaptations as a graphic or comic, and it earned me 11 Herkyed points. Then I listened to The Inadequate Heir by Danielle L. Jensen. This is book 3 in like a 92 book series. But like, listen, finally shit is getting good. Like right when we get to the end of book 3, it starts cooking. Like, oh my God. So the beginning of it was super boring actually, because it was kind of like reliving the events of book 1 and 2 or book 2 through someone else's perspective. And I was like, really? Do we need to do this? Like, but at the end, I was like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. So I am so hyped for book number 4, and probably the rest of them too. We'll see if it lives up to the hype that it built up to, but I was in there like the very last, like probably the last quarter of the book, maybe the third to a quarter, the last third to 1/4. I was in there, yo, like so good. I can't give you any more details, but if you slog through books 1 and 2 and the beginning of book 3, 1 and 2 are not bad, but if you slog through the beginning of book 3, it'll be worth it. So I rated it 4 stars, and excuse me, and I used this in the series Staircase. Obviously it is book 3 in my quadrology, so 1 more to go. I also used it in the I Missed Her Kid 1 prompt, and that's where I'm doing the ABC challenge, and I used it for the letter I for inadequate. This one earned me 5 points. Okay, I was looking at my notes just now, and like the order that I read these in, the next 2, I'm gonna come back to them because they were so freaking good. Okay, so then I did the 24-hour reading challenge as part of Her Kid. And for that, I started with the book I Hear You're Rich and Other Stories, I think it's called, by Diane Williams. And let me just say, I started off by giving this a 3-star, and then I was like, nah, this is a 2-star, bestie. I'm just generally confused. So this is like about an abusive marriage, I think. I couldn't really nail down the cohesiveness between any of the stories. Like there was not really a common thread to me other than somebody probably has some sort of like mental illness, and I don't even know if it's the female main character or if these are the same female main character or what is happening. It kind of feels like it's written from the point of view of a woman on drugs, and maybe she's on drugs to escape from her abusive marriage, which I kind of think is hinted at in many of the short stories in here. I'm just confused mostly. I did enjoy the one part where she's like, I hear you're rich. Can I have some of your money? And I want to believe that that actually happened. So I hear you're rich. Listen, it was free. I got it in a little free library. I rated it 2 stars. I used it in the 24-hour reading challenge, which is different from the readathon because I also plugged this in for the readathon, okay? And it earned me 8 points. The readathon that I keep talking about, that's November and December, that one is Clear Your Shit. So just in case there's any confusion. After that, I listened to 3 Days, 9 Months, 27 Years by John Scalzi. This is part of a Amazon short stories collection called The Time Traveler's Passport. And let me just spoil something for you. I'm so into The Time Traveler's Passport, okay? So anyway, so I listened to that, and I'm just gonna read to you a quote that I pulled from the book because I think it pretty much sums up everything. It says, "We are told of the great fears of the dangers of time travel and whether traveling to the past would warp and change the present, and how a human scale test of time travel might wipe out the history of the planet. We did it anyway because humans can't not stick their fingers into wall sockets." And yes, I was like, amen to that. So in this book, the main character is a guy who controls the time travel machine for people who pay to travel in time, and they can stay in the past for 3 days or 9 months or 27 years before they have to come back. And if they miss all those windows, they're stuck there forever. So I just thought it was brilliantly well done. And it was like a nice, like 1 hour listen. And I was like, yes, okay. I kind of want to see what else John Scalzi has written, because I might want to read some of that too. So I rated this 4 stars, and I said, bravo, sir. I used it obviously in the 24-hour reading challenge and then also in the readathon, and it earned me 9 points. Then I read On the Calculation of Volume 1. I loved the concept of this, but like, I have to read 6 more books just to get anywhere. Like, the ending was so unsatisfying. It gave me absolutely freaking nothing. Nothing. And the book is like very, very repetitive. Now I get it, because the concept here is that she is Groundhog Daying, right? So it's very repetitive for her, but it's very repetitive for me. So reading all of that and knowing that I have to read 6 more books to get an answer, I don't know. And when I say all of that, this is a short book, but it took me a long time to read it because it was just like droning on and on and on. I don't care if she's suffering through repetition of life. I don't have to suffer with her, was basically my thought afterwards. So, you know, I may go on with this series. I may try to find it on audiobook, but it's a translated work, so I don't even know if we have it on audio in English. So I ended up rating it 3.5 stars because I liked the concept. I just was frustrated by the ending of the book. And I used it in the 24-hour challenge, obviously, and then in translated, finally on the board with the translated work. And this was translated from Danish and it earned me 8 points. Then I listened to another one of the Time Traveler's Passports, this one by R.F. Kuang called Making Space. So in my official review, I wrote that this book was unhinged. And I don't need to say anything else about it because it's on KU and it will hop into your Audible for free if you download it on KU. If you don't have KU, I mean, you can still buy it from Amazon. It's a short book. I don't think it costs that much, but listen, unhinged, honey. And I, R.F. Kuang, girl, what's wrong with you? That's all I actually need to say about this one because, I don't even need the rest of my time, okay? 5 freaking stars. 5 stars for R.F. Kuang. And obviously I use it in the 24-hour challenge. I also used it in the Herkyed 1 ABC challenge for M, Making Space. Like, the thing is when you find out what making space means. Oh, and it earned me 16 points. All right, next up, we have All Systems Red by Martha Wells. I started this one on a road trip as an audiobook. We listened to like 1 chapter when I was in the car with my boss, and then I decided to finish reading it on Kindle because it was on KU. And so I thought, you know, this was funny, like funny robots, or I guess technically cyborgs. I'm into it. I liked that. I did struggle a bit with the audiobook, but like I'm gonna chalk that up to being in the car with somebody else. But when I switched over to my Kindle, like I read it fast and I loved it. I enjoyed it. I totally get the hype, and maybe I need to watch the TV show now. I'm not really sure. Maybe I'll just finish reading the books. I guess I could do both. The books are on KU. Anyway, it's a cyborg who is on a planet and he's supposed to be protecting people, but all he wants to do is watch his soap operas, his serials as he calls them. And then things go awry and his humans, you know, are like, are you sentient? Or what's up, dog? I ended up giving this a 4.5 stars. I used it for the readathon, and then I didn't actually have a second prompt to put this into. Maybe I can figure out something down the road. Like sometimes I go back and I'm like, oh, this should have counted as XYZ, and so maybe I'll figure out something later down the road, but for right now, that's all I got. And then it earned me 6 points. Okay, I did not listen to this during the 24-hour challenge, but I listened to the next book in the Time Traveler's Passport after the challenge was over, and it's called For a Limited Time Only. First of all, this was very, very sad. Still time traveler, obviously. It was very sad, and I think I have to stop reading sad time traveling books. But I feel like all time traveling books kind of get sad at some point, don't they? Because it's kind of about like dystopia or about something that could never be or something that used to be that is no more, etc., etc. Anyway, I still enjoyed this a lot. And also, I did not know that the author, I thought it was Pang Shepherd. Apparently it's Pang Shepherd. That's what I got from the audiobook. So gotta love learning how to pronounce somebody's name. So yeah, this one, a guy works for basically a time traveling agency, and he tries to get a new position in the time traveling agency, and he's denied several times, and then it is revealed why, and that is the sad part. So yeah, I can't say anymore. I'll just ruin the whole thing for you. But 4.5 stars, and I used it for the readathon. And I didn't find a second prompt to put it into, but it earned me 14 points. Then there was Howling Dark by Christopher Ruffio. I have the book somewhere. It should have been right here, but it's not there. But we did listen to it on audio, started it on a road trip in October, finished it in November. I think it took me 33 days to finish. Okay, Hadrian, my heart. I love him so much. He's just such a character. It would have been a 5-star if it didn't move so slowly. This is the second book in the Sun Eater series, and so the concept of the Sun Eater series is exactly what it sounds like. Our main character, Hadrian, eats the sun at some point. He basically destroys civilization, and this is him telling us how he came to be the person who did that. No idea what I was just saying because my camera died in the middle of me talking about the lovely Hadrian Marlowe, Lord Emperor, whatever his title is now. But suffice to say that I had to knock this one down just a little bit because it didn't have some of that like razzle dazzle that the first book had in it, which makes sense. The first book was kind of like a coming of age, so he was very juvenile, and a little bit funnier than he is now. And now it's like really like reckoning with like what took us on the adventure to eating the sun. So it's not as funny anymore, but you know, whatever. So Howling Dark, book 2 in the Sun Eater series, I rated 4.75 stars. I credited this in the By the 100s for the 600s, it was 688 pages. And then I also put it under the subgenres of choice as a space opera, a fantasy space opera, because it is accredited with all of those things on Goodreads. And Hadrian earned me 9 points. Okay, there are 3 more books that I read, and these ones were so freaking incredible, I had to save them for the end. Are we ready? The lowest rated of the most incredible books that I read in November will be Fallen City by Adrienne Young. I was waiting and waiting and waiting for this book to come out, so let me start the timer. And for her, I just want to read to you like what I said about this. Actually, I have a quote from this book, okay? Every part of me that matters, every part that's real, you're taking with you. Pesty what? I mean, this book was so freaking good. We had war, famine, I mean, Greco-Roman politics, nepotism, gods. It was all in this book. Adrienne Young, what are you doing? And where's book 2? This was so freaking good. And like, I still stand by my thought that the man's a red flag, but yes, for the reading experience, it was 100% good. Fallen City, yo. This was probably like the most highly anticipated book that I read this year. Maybe not. Maybe that was Bury Our Bones, but still, so good. I know I'm tired of hearing that thing. Okay, I got carried away and forgot to tell you guys that I counted this in the reading challenge and also for the new release for November, and it earned me 14 points. Moving right along to the last arc that I read in November, Cry Voidbringer by Elaine Ho. This book was incredible. It has strong opening. About the midway point, I was like, oh, okay, it's just kind of so-so, it's falling off. But then, like, I don't know what happened. It just took off, yo. Like, it was so freaking good. It just like snuck up and punched me in the face with how good it was. Like, I wasn't ready for it. I thought it was just going to continue being like, all right. And it was not. Maybe it's the timeliness of the book. I mean, hello, America. This is a book that has lots of parallels to what's going on in America right now, but it happens in an Asian area. Maybe it's the agony of the characters. The circumstances, the exploration of gods and powers. And I'm not done. I don't care about the timer. And like the illusion of choice that people in the book have. Like, damn, yo. It was just so good. And like, I don't want to tell you what happens in the book because I want you to go read it and experience it. Like, a lot of times when I don't, sorry, there's like something floating in the air. A lot of times when I don't give you like a synopsis of the book, it's because I personally feel like it's a book that's better read blind. Like, just know that it's so good and it's so powerful. And if our tastes align with each other, like, you're gonna like this book. It was that good. And I just, 5 stars. Like, I don't even know what to say right now. Yeah, 5 stars. And so anyway, I credit this under the readathon and then under subgenres of choice as a high fantasy, and it earned me 14 points. So incredible. Like, I am so excited that I got to read that book for free. I got an arc of that book. And I will say that Cry Voidbringer and Local Heavens are both arcs that I got through Bindery. Bindery, they're doing really good things over there. Like, all of their imprints are blowing it out of the water. All right, friends. I have one more book that I read in the month of November. You ready for this? Because I don't think you are. I was unwell after reading this, okay? And that's going to be This Is How You Lose the Time War. Now, I did not expect this book to hit as hard as it hit. I don't even know what to tell you. Hold on, let me start the timer. No notes. I have no notes on this. And I mean, like, that's 2 for 2 for Amal, and, you know, good job to what's his name or whatever. Max Gladstone. This is the second of Amal El-Motar's books that I've read, and like 2 for 2, bestie. Like, she banging. She's hitting it out of the park every single time. Like, what is going on in her brain? I could tell early on that this book was going to have me balled up on the floor, crying like a little baby. It was the last book that I read in the 24-hour challenge, and like, I could not have read anything after this that would have meant anything to me. So I had to stop anyway. It was 3 a.m. and I could have gone on longer, but this book delivered exactly what it tells you it's going to deliver in the beginning. Like, the feelings that you get from this book, honey, they will take you places. There's red and there's blue, and they are at competing time traveling agency situations, and it's emotional. Okay, so I rated this 5 stars, and I would love to give it 6. That's not a joke. I would love to give this 6 stars. I credited it in the 24-hour reading challenge, of course, and then under BIPOC, because the author is, well, one of the authors is Lebanese. So, and by the way, if you've not had Lebanese food, come on, what are you waiting for? One of my aunts is Lebanese, and like, oh my God, food. When my cousin got married, impeccable. Yes. Okay, anyway, that has nothing to do with this book being incredible, but whatever. And I don't know if I said, but I got 18 points off of this book. So, woo! That is what happened to me in the month of November. I had an incredible time. Like, there were so many good reads. Like, I forgot about the bad reads. The People We Hate at the Wedding. Terror at the Gates was not bad, but it just wasn't for me. I forgot all about those because the good reads that I had, just bangers. What else can I say? So, yeah, we got one more month of reading to do, and I hope you guys stick around for that. I don't know if I've made my schedule of when these videos are going to upload yet, but you should, at this point, I think, know that I'm doing Bookmas, and I'm doing it my way. I've got all my videos coming out between the 14th and ending on the 25th. So yeah, we're in there. We're in Bookmas right now, and I hope you guys are having a good time. And yes, I don't even know what else to say. Like, I'm having such a fun time, and it's such a great time of year. I'm in such a great mood. My headache is at a very manageable level, so that is also good news. And I'm just like enamored with these books that I got to read. And I don't know, I'm like, am I about to cry? No, but like I feel like so incredibly lucky that I got to read these books. And anyway, I'm gonna cut this footage out. So, since you made it this far, since you guys made it this far, I want to say thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for looking at these books that I read. And let me know if you've read any of these, especially the bangers. Because I want to know, like, I need to talk to somebody about this How You Lose the Crime War. And everyone I know is like, oh, I've been meaning to read that and I haven't done it yet. Get on it. Let's do it. Let's do it. We need to talk about it. So if you've read this, let's talk about it in the comments. And if you haven't, go read it. It's a short book. It's like 200 pages. Go read it and then come back to the comments, okay? And then let me know what happened. Like this video so you can come back and find it later. And subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on my new uploads. Usually I upload once a week, and right now it's Bookmas, so I'm uploading every single day, including shorts. Your girl is tired, but we'll be back to once a week, twice a week in January. So anyway, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming in January. So make sure you don't miss out on anything. And thanks for being here. I love you. I miss you. And I will see you in the very next video.